In terms of organisational dynamics and the dynamics of teams, the reflective practitioner can focus on what motivates individuals within the organisation and within the teams that they work. The Hawthorne experiments in America showed that workplaces are essentially social institutions, and as such they affect the quality of the work and the outcomes that can be achieved, and what motivates people to make these achievements. And to understand motivation a little bit more clearly, we can look at Maslow's hierarchy. Here we've got the revised hierarchy, which identifies different levels of motivation for an individual, moving from a very basic level at the bottom, where any member of the team is focused on very specific aspects which are important to them, basic needs. And this leads up to higher levels of functioning, of motivation within the group, where an individual is looking beyond basic needs and looking at more fundamental attributes of motivation. What is true is that people will move through different levels and can also fall back down through levels if anything should go wrong within the group or within the organisational structure. So people can be motivated or demotivated at different times, and the reflective practitioner can consider how people are motivated within the organisation and moving through these structures. So to reflect on motivation, there are certain assumptions about behaviour that the reflective practitioner can look at. And certainly in very large public organisations, there are very strong philosophies that the reflective practitioner can consider. In motivation, there is a choice, but it is dependent on the amount of impact of that motivation. Certain motivating factors are so fundamental to us that we perceive them as not being something that we can choose. They are something that we depend on and need. And in terms of choice, we can consider motivation from a self-regulation point of view, or in other words, there's a certain degree to which an individual can influence the work environment and influence their involvement in the work environment, which will impact on their motivation. Self-regulated teachers, therefore, are people who are very aware of their strengths and weaknesses, and this is something for the teacher to reflect on. Self-regulated teachers also are able to think about the way they're thinking and look at the way they're learning and reflect in a metacognitive sense on their role in the team or in the school. Self-regulated teachers also have certain attributes around success and failure, and this affects how much control they feel they have over their work role. Self-regulation is therefore a cyclical process. It's not a linear one-way process, and teachers can actually move through different levels of regulation, self-regulation in terms of their motivation, in a cycle of motivation and learning. And what this means is that the self-regulated teacher is always working towards achievement of goals. Self-regulation, therefore, promotes learning and is something for the reflective practitioner to aspire to in terms of their reflective practice. If a reflective practitioner is self-regulating, then they are managing their own motivation levels. Researchers identify three critical dimensions or characteristics of self-regulation, this aspect of motivation, and this is self-observation, self-judgment, and self-reaction. Self-observation is essentially being able to stand back and objectively look at your activities and the actions that you're taking. Look at things as realistically as possible rather than as sympathetically as possible. And self-observation then aims at being a very critical thinking about performance. Self-observation therefore can lead to higher levels of motivation. It can lead the practitioner realistically through a cycle of learning, so that the reflective practitioner is able to move through the different levels of Maslow's hierarchy. For example, if you realize that the way you prepare for a lesson is not as good as it could be, and therefore it's affecting not only the teaching in the classroom but your enjoyment of the work in the classroom, then your self-observation can identify this and help you put it right. And this will make you much more satisfied in the classroom and much happier working in the classroom. Self-judgment refers to the extent to which you can evaluate your own performance and how you can identify goals in relation to your performance and move your performance forward. And self-reactions refers to the reflective practitioner looking at their responses to events in the classroom, both their behavioural and their cognitive responses, as well as the emotions, the feelings that they have in response to events. And what this means is that, again, you're moving through a cycle as a reflective practitioner and looking very critically at all these different cognitive outputs that you have.